Listen in for some positivity and good times. The views and opinions of our guests may not necessarily reflect those of the host or the Vibes Broadcast Network. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes and my ongoing series on the spiritual journey, which is The Wizard of Oz. In one of my previous videos, I talked about non-duality. Non-duality being, it can be interpreted as everything that is in existence is related to God. Everything is connected. Whether you refer to God as God, the universe, however you look at God, everything is connected in some way. Now, whether it be situations, it could be the people, it could be any object. I mean, everything is connected in some way to God. I believe that we go through things that they're just meant to happen. There's some kind of lesson that we should learn from everything that we go through. I don't think that when you meet someone, that's an accident. Some of these people are just in passing, and some are, in your life. However, whoever, these things are connected, they're meant to happen. Let's start off by saying Dorothy has just come home explaining her dilemma. She's expecting some validation from her family and the people that work on the farm. They want to, or she wants them to validate her feelings. And she tells them about Miss Gulch, who, if you know who she is, she's the lady that accused Toto of, biting her, doing all these terrible things in her garden and whatnot. She tells them about Miss Gulch and the way she's trying to hurt Toto. But as you'll see, Toto can never be hurt. Now, one of the farmhands, who is the Scarecrow, or will become the Scarecrow, he tells her that in a way, she needs a brain, okay? And he says this by, do you have straw for brains? I forgot exactly how he says it, but there's a meaning behind that too. Now, it's not so much to put her down. It's like, can't you think of a different way of doing things? I'm going to give you an example. I believe in witnessing to people, and I used to go out and, knock door to door, and, somebody I'd meet on the street or whatever, and I would try to talk to them about coming to church, about getting saved. And some people would listen. Some people would be kind of rude. Most folks really did not want to listen. Now, when I was a young Christian and I was gung-ho, I tried to force it down people's throat. And then I came to realize that you can't do that. It's gonna turn people off. It's defeating your purpose. It's like if you believe in something, or you have a certain way of thinking and you want to get your point across, if you're just so forceful and like you think you're the only one who's right, that's no way of getting anything done. I find that if you use love, if they're going to listen, they will listen. And some people just plain mean, and they just don't care. And you have to wipe your hands and move on. You cannot try to force somebody to think the same way you do or believe the same things you do. And we see a lot of that going on nowadays. Anyway, I didn't want to get into that. She could have prevented all this stuff, Toto getting in her garden and destroying things and chasing the cat and, biting Miss Gulch. If she would to see the Scarecrow is telling her, hey, why did you let him do all that? Now, personally, and this is just my observation in it, I think that if Dorothy would have taken the time to maybe get to know Miss Gulch and maybe look past the nastiness in this woman. Maybe in a kind way, she could have gotten to her heart. Maybe she could have, let Toto get to know this lady and the lady get to know Toto, and she might have eventually loved Toto and, let Toto run around. I don't know, but you could have tried instead of just letting him run amok. And I get it. As I said when I was talking about Toto in one of my previous videos, Toto is that symbol of God kind of getting into your conscience, being able to make you feel bad for your sins, chasing that cat, getting in your garden, But if you, as I said, you let this just run amok and there's no structure, there's no love to it, you're defeating your purpose. Does she think Miss Gulch is so awful that she gets back at her with Toto being let to run amok? I mean, I don't know. Let's look at this. Let's kind of examine this part a little bit. Let's say Toto being God, Toto, God getting into your conscience. What damage is really being done here? Dorothy is not a judge. So if she's doing it just to prove a point, that's no good. That's not going to accomplish anything. You are not the judge of other people. Okay, let's go back to Miss Gulch. Miss Gulch, who in Oz is the Wicked Witch, as I said before. The witch is really an internal representation of Dorothy and how she really is on the inside. And here's where Dorothy is really passing judgment on herself. Now, you could try to force your thoughts and your feelings on others, but especially if they don't want to hear it, it's not going to happen. Things could have been done in a better way. So we're being taught about restraint. Also, as I said, I'll say it again, let love change people. Hateful things, calling people names, just treating them awfully, that's never going to achieve anything. Another way of looking at it is like what we learn in the Bible. Jesus is condemned by the law. Miss Gulch finally shows up with, I guess she had a paper or something saying that she could take custody of the dog and that she could have the dog destroyed. So just like Jesus, who was condemned by the law, was crucified. Thank God Toto was not crucified, because that would have been the end of the story. He has to live in order for this story to make sense. And also, do you remember that Dorothy had turned to her aunt and uncle to kind of protect Toto? Well, this was a moment of weakness. They really didn't. So it's almost as if you have a Judas. I love you when it's convenient. When it's inconvenient, I'm not going to fight for you. I'm going to let you go. All right. So Toto, he has to be there in order to show the right way down the path. Also, Dorothy must go somewhere else to be effective. She can help people in Oz, but not in Kansas, because in Kansas, she's considered a child and not to be taken seriously. Back to the Scarecrow. Scarecrow, well, the farmhand, he's a bit goofy, crazy, different from everybody else. I think he hit himself with a hammer and tripped over into the pig pen. He can relate to Dorothy. Dorothy, she wants to be like a wizard or learn magic. She wants to have divine knowledge. And as said, Scarecrow, he tells Dorothy that she has a brain of straw. And believe it or not, this is actually the bonding moment for them. I said they're both different. And the head of straw is symbolic of crazy wisdom, something that they share that that wisdom that no one else knows, knowing things that no one else knows. And throughout, you'll see that Dorothy believes herself to be different than anyone else and really does not belong. An example would be like Noah. He built an ark. People thought he was nuts. He said, hey, there's a storm coming. It's going to rain. And people like, hey, it hadn't rained here in a long time. What are you talking about? Sure enough, he was preparing for that storm, and it flooded. He had the means to get through the storm. The storm that's coming for Dorothy, though, it is a symbolic of the turmoil that she has within, all the crazy stuff that's going on. I mean, you can imagine most teenagers, they got a million things running through their brain. And this is a vehicle, kind of like the ark, to get her to Oz. I mean, I'm going to leave it there. There's a lot more I can get into. Once again, I don't want to flood you with too much at one time. No pun intended. But we'll get further into this as we go along. I'm going to have to refer back and forth as it's relative. And just think on this. Please take care of yourself. Be kind to others. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network